So in this video, we are going to be looking at QuickBooks for school management and college. Now, a school here covers a private school, a college, maybe university, or whatever model you use. As long as it's classified under school, this video tutorial would help you understand how QuickBooks work for a school and how you can actually customize your QuickBooks desktop to help manage the accounting department of your school. So in this video, we're going to be looking at how to set up a chart of accounts for your school, how to add your relevant bank account, how to enter your student records, which you can categorize either by class or by program or by the courses that is studied. And then we're going to be looking at how to create departments or faculties in the school. This is very important. And then how do you also create your vendors and their payable balances? How do you add inventories of books, magazines, and also your library materials or any other item that you can classify as inventory? Then we're also going to be looking at how your school make money. Now, some schools can actually make money from registrations, tuition fees, departmental due, extracurricular activities, sales of school materials, subscriptions, depending on how you run your school. But the whole idea is to just understand how to take care of every aspect of your accounting department as long as the school is concerned. And then we're going to be looking at how to record your revenue as a school, meaning that I'm going to show you how to create invoice and then how to create invoice for different programs, how to receive payments by cash or transfer or credit card into a bank or cash account, and then how to record purchase of inventories into the school store or library or whatever school materials that you manage, and then how to record school expenses, how to adjust for inventory losses, reconcile your inventories of school materials, and then record banking transactions. Then we'll then look at financial reports, how to generate a report like income report of your school, expense report, purchase reports, inventory, profit or loss by department, balance sheet, cash flow, and every other kind of reports you might want to check as a school. So let's head to the software and then start our training immediately. So this is a demo company or a demo file that has been created for a school. So I had the opportunity to discuss with a college administrator or to present a demo with a business school. And like I said before, whether it's a business school, a private school, maybe like an IT school, whatever program you run, as long as it's classified under school, this video still works for your line of business. So here we're going to be looking at a private school and also a business school. So just to help you understand how the system works for your school. Now, this is the desktop version of QuickBooks. Now, the first thing we are going to be looking at from what you see right here is setting up chart of accounts for a school. Chart of accounts is very important. If you watch all my videos on how to set up QuickBooks for different industries, I always talk about chart of accounts as the first point of setup that you need to do before you start posting any item or before you start entering transactions, because this is the core of an accounting software. Chart of accounts, if you go to the list, chart of accounts, this is what defines how your transactions or how your financial reports are going to be generated. So if you want your financial report to represent that of your industry, you need to ensure that your chart of accounts are properly set up. And what a chart of account is, an account that categorizes all your transactions to income, expenses, assets, or liabilities. So the income head of a school is not the same as that of a manufacturing company. So that's where you're going to set up a chart of accounts to customize it specifically for your school. So for a school, one of the income heads that we're going to be looking at is tuition fee. So we'll come back here and then accounts, new. So we're going to add an income head. And I also emphasize the fact that account type is very important when you are setting up chart of account, because it is the account type that the system will use to check or to know how to treat that transaction. So if I'm going to enter school as a tuition fee or tuition fee as an income, what the system will use to recognize that account name called tuition fee is not the name, it's not the fact that there is tuition fee, it's because the account type I selected is income. So how the system is going to treat an account name largely depends on the account type you select. If I enter tuition fee and I select banking, system will treat it as a banking transaction. If I select expenses, it will assume that it's an expense transaction and I won't be correct, and my financial report will automatically be wrong. That's why you must get your setup right. So you're supposed to select income as the account type. Then under the account name, I can then say tuition fee, which is an income. And then I'll click on save and close. So another area that will generate revenue, assuming we sell books. So you can come here and say sales of books or library materials, whatever, you click OK. Some schools they charge for subscription for you to access their books in the library. So you can as well come back here and say subscription to library materials, which is also an income to you as a school. So subscription to library. Then you can also have another income head called registration. Before they are admitted into the school, they're supposed to pay for registration fee. So you can add them as income. So you can see these are different income heads. So if you come here and select this, you can see different income, how the school make money, departmental dues, extra activities. So here you come back to accounts, new, and then income. So you can call this departments due. So if you pay parent dues, which will be either monthly or quarterly or yearly. So you can see that these are different income heads of a school. So what differentiates this chart of account from another industry is the type of income that the school has. So here you can see the type of income that this school is interested in. Sales of books, departmental free dues, registration fees, subscription to library, admission, and then every other. Now for school expenses too, you can as well come back here and then add different expenses. One major expenses for school basically is a direct cost, which is purchase of school materials. So we can also come here and then purchase of school or library materials. Or let's just say purchase of library materials. Other schools could be purchase of school uniform, purchase of whatever expenses that is currently directly tied to that school itself becomes a direct cost. Purchase of library materials, purchase of school, maybe projector. You can so everything can be classified under school material. So you can also come here as long as it helps learning, it helps to enhance learning processes. So you can then come to this section and say purchase of school materials. So everything like school furniture for learning, although school furniture are fixed assets, projectors are fixed assets, but every other materials that you buy to help aid or to help the school to run or provide services to the students, they are actually direct costs to you. So here you make sure you impute them or categorize them under purchase of school materials. So you have that here. And then you have the asset of a school. The asset of a school could be the building itself, furnitures and fittings. So you come to new and then you call this a fixed assets and then the account name will be furnitures and fittings. And then you can also impute the value of that furnitures and fitting in the system. And then what other fixed asset the school has. So let's say the building itself. The building is worth 23, and then you can opening balance date as at the end of December 2022, and then you can also add your land right here or school bus. School has the bus and each and the cost of the bus space, and then you can then So let's see, ending date. The ending date, ending balance date for all your item has to be the same. So you can see right here we've added it. So you see how our chart of account is expanding bit by bit as we continually update our chart of account with relevant account heads that are tied to that industry. So for a school, you have your income head, you have your expense head, you have your direct cost, you have your asset. You can also add your liability as a school. So that's why chart of account is important. Why you need to build this is it is what determines how your financial reports are going to be displayed on your system. If your financial reports are going to be displayed correctly, your chart of account has to be properly set up. If I don't have departmental due, registration fee, sales of books, whatever in chart of accounts, the system is not going to display anything like this in my report. So, and that will not probably represent a school very, very well. So, this is why you need to pay attention to your chart of accounts. They are very important when it comes to setting up QuickBooks for your industry. Now, once you're done with chart of accounts, the next thing we're going to add is our bank account. Every school has a bank account, which is very important. When students are making payments into making payments for different programs or courses, they pay them into your bank account. So that's why in your accounting software, you also need to have your bank account properly set up on the system. So how do you add your bank account? You go to bank account, you select new, and then you make sure you select bank, which is the account type. This tells you again why account type is very important because if the system is going to treat this account as a banking transaction, then the account type for each of your account heads has to be bank. And then you click on continue. Then the name of the bank is where you're going to input different names of the bank that you're looking at. So here, if you have an account called Zenith Bank, the ending balance of that Zenith Bank, you're going to input them as at the same date, which is 31st of December 2022, and then you click save and close. And again, if you have a bank called First Bank, go to input the name of the bank and then select the opening balance dates. So you can add as many bank as you want. And if you have a credit card wallet, you can as well create that on the system, maybe like a MasterCard. You can create on the system. Now, another situation again is what if you track multiple currencies? What if some student pays in foreign currency? How do you treat that on the system? So what that means we're going to activate multiple currencies on our system. To activate multiple currencies, you go to edit, you select preference. So by default, and then you select multiple currencies, company preference. By default, QuickBooks assume that you are only using one currency, except you activate multiple currencies on the system. So here you select yes, I use more than one currency. So why this is very important is because when there are students that pay school fees in some pays in euros, some pays in dollars, some pays in whatever currencies that you allow as a school. There's also room for you to receive that money directly into your different bank accounts. Again, when you activate multiple currencies, you're also able to add your different bank accounts in different currencies. So here we assume that our home currency is going to be US dollar. Now, why this is not the only currency you have, you can as well expand it and you see list of all the world currencies. So but here, US dollar is our base currency. So we select US dollar and then you click on OK, you select OK right here. Now, it doesn't mean that your own home currency will be in US dollar. So I am selecting US dollar for you to see that you can activate multiple currencies. You can select whatever currency of your country that you use to track your finance. So that has to be your base currency, meaning that when you generate your financial report, your base currency will be in that home currency that you select. It could be in US dollar, it could be in euro, it could be in Nigerian naira, it could be Kenya shillings, it could be whatever currency of the country that you're actually using to track your finance. So now we've activated our multiple currencies. So if you go back to edit, preferences, and then multiple currencies, you can see now that your home currency is in US dollars right now. Now, if we go back to our chart of account, we want to add our foreign bank account to the system. So by default, all the accounts we've added will be in US dollar. And come back here, new, and then select the bank, which is the account type. So this will be Bank of America. So currency is in USD, and then I'm going to add a balance and then the opening balance dates right here. So you put them right here. Now, assuming we have foreign accounts in euro, you can also come to account, new, bank, and then you add your euro account to the system. So let's say we have Bank of Germany, for instance. What's the currency of this account is in euro? What's the opening balance date? Balance on the account, and then the opening balance date. You're going to impute that right here. So 1 euro equals to, let's say, 1.1 USD or 1.09 USD. So that's the exchange rate. Why is the system asking us for exchange rate? Because the currency of the bank account we're adding is different from our home currency. So there's need for us to update exchange rate for easy conversion to home currency. Then you click OK, and then you come back here, Bank of England, and this is going to be pound account. So you can see we don't have pounds right here. Then you can to add the pounds, and then opening balance here, statement ending date, set by the first, and then British pounds is equal to 1.1. So these are just assumed exchange rates. You click OK. So you can see right here. So you see how our chart of account have expanded from just a modest or skeletal structure into becoming a school based or a school focused account. From the income head to the expense head, we have the asset. I can go on to add other liabilities for a school. There's any as at the time we're setting up the account. So that's how to add your bank account to the system. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at is student record. Now, this is one of the most important part of accounting software setup for a school. How do you categorize all the students? You don't just lump all the students together. As a school, as a business school, you have different programs that you're running in that school. Now, when you are categorizing the students, it doesn't make sense for you to lump everything together without segmenting them by class or the program they are running. So when we come to customer center, ordinarily I would have just requested for the names of all the students in the school and just add all the names together, irrespective of the programs they are running. But that way, it will not be proper. It will not probably provide the real value that the entrepreneur or the school admin is looking for when it comes to generating receivables. So because of that, we are going to be categorizing all the customer or all the student list by the program they run. So what we'll do is we'll use their customer name as the program they are running, and then we'll use job to add each of the students as under the programs they run. So here I will go to new customer. So rather than adding the name of the student, we're going to add the programs that they run. So MBA program, and then I'll click on OK. The next one we're going to do is to add another program, PhD program, and then I'll click on OK. The next one we're going to add is postgraduate program. And then the next one we're going to add again is, let's say we have like a short course. I can say executive program. Executive program. So first you can see what we've done so far. We added all the programs that a school provides. Now each of the programs has the students that they have that are running a course under them. So we can then come to add job. Under add job, I can just say Mr. Jude Stone. So Mr. Jude Stone is running an MBA program. We'll select MBA and then you click on OK. You can see right here. So the next is we're going to add another name. So I'm going to add two names for each. This is Mary. And then under MBA program 2, so you can see MBA program, we have two names right here. You can see. And then I'm going to add another name again. So this will come under executive program, and then I will add another name again. So I'll come back here again. I'm going to add another name to come under, let's say, postgraduate program, and then let's add another random name again. Um, Under postgraduates. So you can see right here that as we're adding names, so let's add one for PhD programs, under PhD program, we have this. So let's just work with this. You can see under executive program, we have the two students, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Sweets, and all that. And then that, it doesn't mean you're allowed to add two. You can add as many names as you want. The most important thing is to ensure that each of the students are categorized under the programs that they run. Like you can see under executive program, you have the names MBA programs, PhD programs. So for your own school, if you run a private school, you can probably use this as the name of the class. Maybe nursery one, class one, whatever, basic one. Do you understand? So instead of executive program, that's what you're going to use. Then under nursery one, you add all the students under all the pupils, and if it's a secondary school or a college, first thing is to add the the different department, different classes, or how the school programs are categorized. Then you can start adding the name of all the students. So there's also a feature called class on the system. Now that feature helps you to departmentalize or categorize your department. Now what that class will help us to segment this school by faculty. So I'll come back here, I'll select class. So it's like walking into a supermarket and then you have different departments like groceries, food, drinks. So other lists, I'll select class lists, and then under our class, we'll then select department of maybe business admin. So here, and then I can also come here to, I can say department of social science, and then I can also come here and say department of marketing. I can create as many department or faculty. So that's what Classly does for us. Now, whenever we create an invoice, we are able to select the departments. So apart from mapping the invoice specifically to the name of the student, you can also select the department that that invoice applies to. When you also incur expenses, you can as well map it to the department where that expenses applies to. So that way you go to see the profit and loss position or the profit and loss performance of each of these departments in the school. So let's go again. Um, we've discussed departments, vendors, and payable. Now, as a school, you have vendors that you pay to, vendors that provide their different services or that supplies various materials to you as a school. Or your vendors could even be your affiliation. Maybe you have affiliation with a foreign university, so you also add them as a vendor. So when you go to vendor center, vendors are your product suppliers, your service providers. So they are not necessarily your product suppliers, even your service providers are also vendor. Then you go to new vendor, then you can then add um, school supplies limited. So this is one of our vendor. So if there's any payable balance to that school supply, you can include that here, which is as at 31st of December 2022. So the currency remains the same. Now, if you have foreign affiliations with different schools, you can as well add the name of the school right here. So maybe you have an affiliation with London Business School. So you can then come here, you select the currency, which is British pounds, you click OK. So these are different vendors. So you can add as many vendors as you want. Like I said, vendors are service providers and product suppliers to you as a school. So we've added our vendor. The next part is inventories of books, magazines, and library materials. Now, when you come down to the software, it also lets you track your inventories. If you've watched our video on the manufacturing, you will see how the system is able to break down your inventories into raw materials and finished product. So for a school, we are going to add the school under item list as inventory parts. Why? Because we buy them, we use them, and sometimes we even sell them, but we don't manufacture them. That's why there will not be anything like assembly for a school. So you go to item, you select new. So what are the materials we have? You select inventory parts. So you can probably call this maybe investment book or investment 101 book. There's only one business book. Now, as at the time we're setting up this software, how many units of these books do we have in store? We have like 500, and the cost of each book to us is $150. So 500 multiplied by 150 will give us total value of 75,000 USD. And then when we sell these books, it goes to sales of book account. You can also see the importance of chart of account, meaning that if we haven't set up our chart of account, there's no way we can map this to an income account. That's why chart of account remains the first thing you need to set up before you start anything in this on the software. So you go to sales of book right here. If we have a fixed selling price, you can input them here 350, but if you don't have, you can leave them empty. You click OK. So that's book. Then we can also come back to new to add more books that we sell. So let's say we also sell business management books. So how many units of business management book do we have in store? We have 600. How much did we buy them each? We bought them 250 USD, and then which is as at this period, 31st, added to the sales of books account. Now, this part does not just focus on the inventories, it also takes care of how you make money, meaning that you can also use this to add the services you render as a school, not just the inventory. So we make money from school tuition fee. You're going to add school tuition fee, which you map to school tuition fee under your chart of accounts. Then you're going to add your registration fees under the service, then which will come under registration fee. So here you can also add subscription to library, come under subscription to library accounts. So you can add as many income heads as possible. So what this item list takes care of are the different sources of revenue to you. It also takes care of your inventory. So you're able to add inventory part and also the services you provide or how you make money as a school. So these are things the system will take care of when you are setting up their account for a school. So let's look at the next part. We have revenue. So with all these that we've posted so far, we can now say it's time for us to start creating an invoice. So for a school to create an invoice, you can go to create invoice. Then who are we creating the invoice to? You can see that when their fees are due, you can create invoice in the name of Mr. Daniel who runs executive program. So you come here, you select Mr. Daniel. What class does it belong to? So you can say executive program as a class. You're going to classify that under executive program. Remember, this class is like department or faculties in the school. You click here, and then remember, this invoice is more or less like a product invoice. So you can create two invoices on the system. You can have a product invoice, you can also have a service invoice on the system. So let's call this service invoice. So service invoice item, this person is registering for executive program, registration fees, he's going to pay tuition, school tuition fee, and then subscription to library, and then he's also mandated to buy some business management books. So you can see this is a sample invoice that you are creating the name of one of the students that's enrolling for our program. So for the books, is buying like 10 books. For the subscription fee, he's paying like 3,500 for the school tuition fee. He's paying like 45,000 USD. For subscription to library, he's paying 12,000 USD. So you can see right now, this is a sample invoice of a student that is enrolling into our executive program in the school or in the business in the college. Now, the moment you click on save and close on the system automatically creates this as a receivable in the name of this particular student. So that's how to create an invoice. And if there are terms of payment, you can as well come here and select terms of payment. Terms of payment lets you select or state period within which the invoice is due for payment. After that, if the invoice becomes unpaid after the period, then it becomes an overdue invoice. So that way, you'll be able to track your aging summary on the system, average aging summary on the system. So here I will click OK. You can see total balance of 60,500, which is receivable from this student. You click on save and close. So let's go back to our invoice. Our opening balance date is 31st. So we want to map this transaction to by let's say 3rd of January. We click on save and close. Now, once you create an invoice, the next thing is to receive payments. Now, when we receive payments, you will notice that there is no room for us to select the bank account where the money was paid. It means the moment you will receive payment, you would have to come to record deposits. But I don't like that. I like to combine receive payment and record deposit together, meaning that at the point of receiving that payment, I should be able to select the bank account where the money was paid into. So I'll come to edit, preferences, and then payment, other payments, company preference. So what happens when you receive payment? The money goes to a default account called undeposited funds, but we don't want to do that. We want to select the bank account where the money was paid. Assuming for us as a school, we don't collect cash. All payment goes directly to our bank account. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to uncheck undeposited fund on the system. And then once you do that, you go back here again, you select receive payment. We want to receive the money. You can see now we now have deposit tool. So by default, it goes to undeposited fund, but we do not want to use undeposited fund because we know the account where the money was paid into. So I will come here, receive from Mr. Daniel. Here you can see the invoice of 60,000 naira. Now it's also assumed that this person can make part payment or for the school fees or whatever total amount that is due. So let's assume you make payment of 30,500 USD and then the money was paid into Bank of America. You can't pay an amount, you can't pay US dollar into euro account. It has to be into the same dollar account. So you have that right here. And then the balance will be left as under payments, meaning that he has a balance of 25,000 to pay us. The implication of posting this is that our bank balance increases by this amount while receivable account of this student will reduce by the same amount. So click save and close. So if I go to report customers and receivable balances, you will see that this person's balance is now 25. Once we double click here, it will show us summary transaction, invoice of 60,000, and then they paid us 35,500. It has a balance of this amount. And then if I also go to banking, use register, and then I select the same Bank of America account, you will also see that our bank statement has increased by the amount that the student paid, which is this deposit right here. So that's how you receive payments from each of your students. So at the end of the term or at the beginning of the section, when you have a program to run, you're supposed to record all the invoices that have been created on the system. Now, on the system too, if I did not activate multiple currencies, you would have seen batch invoicing on the system. Batch invoicing does not work with multiple currencies. So if in a situation where you have a larger number of students and you want to invoice all the students at the same time, assuming their school fees are the same, then you can use batch invoicing to do that. You can use batch invoicing to record that. But if your students are not much, maybe you run a lean business school that is probably focused on few people, then you can probably post your invoice manually. So that's how to record invoice for each student. So let's try invoice again for another student. So let's use the MBA program right here. And this person is buying investment 101 books. He's buying like 100 copies at 350, which is 35,000. I can then click on save and close. So if I go to reports, customer balance summary, It adds to my receivable balance. Now, notice one important thing. You will see that as we are generating our receivable balances, system is going to categorize them by different programs that they run. So that's the beauty of segmenting all the students in your school. You are able to see your receivable by class or by program. So under MBA program, I will see people that owes me. Under executive program, now if I also go back to invoice, so let's see if we can do for postgraduate too, Mr. Felix, and then he's buying, let's say, he's doing subscription to library, and then he's paying like 12,500, and then as at fourth, I'll click on save and close. So if we go back to report, customer balance summary, now you can see again. So that's how the system automatically classify each of these students by the various programs we run. Why? Because at the point of setting up this customers list, we stated the department or the programs or the class that this student belong to. So that makes it easy for us to see how much is due in each department. So that is exactly how you are going to set up these books in QuickBooks. And then under create invoice, we have purchase of inventories into the school. So as a school, there are times where you also want to buy more materials, you want to buy inventories. So I can as well come here, you click on purchase order. Purchase order help you send a request to your foreign vendor that you want to buy a certain amount of book. So let's say you're ordering a book from London Business School. You select London Business School right here. And then what are we all doing? We buy all our investment 101 books from London Business School. We want to buy 200 copies at this price, and then we click on save and close. Note this is just an order. It's not going to reflect in your ledger until there is a supply from that vendor. But what you're doing right now but what you're doing right now automatically tells you that if you receive that order, if you receive the inventory, it's going to increase your payable account. But this time your payable will be in pounds, but you can then convert it to USD at this exchange rate. And then you click on save and close. Okay, our department, we are buying it into Department of Business Administration. You click save and close. Now, like I said, this is just an order. It's not going to reflect in our account. So the next part is to receive inventory with bill, meaning that we've now received the purchase order. Receive inventory from London Business School. You can see the purchase order we created automatically pops up here, which means that we can actually receive this inventory against that purchase order. So everything we've imputed on that purchase order will automatically be imported into our bill. So this is the purchase order we created. Now you can see here. So what happened is that we've now converted the purchase order into a bill. And if there are other expenses incurred during the course of that delivery, we can as well post them under expenses. So let's say delivery charge. So what which is an expenses. So what's the cost of delivery charge to us? You can impute the delivery charge as 1,200, which will increase the total to 31,200. And the cost of the book is this. This automatically leads to a payable account. If I click save and close right here, you will see that in our report, we now have a payable account. Now, that payable will automatically be converted to your home currency depending on the exchange rate. So that's how to receive inventory. Now, if you want to settle your payable, you go to pay bills. Pay bills will list out all the payables that are yet to settle, and then you can as well select them on the system. So here, so we have our payables on the system. If you want to settle them, like I said, you can as well settle all your payables. So let's see. By January. So account payable in pounds, yes. So why it's displaying zero is because this account payable right here is in USD. Then you can see because we activated multiple currencies, we're going to be seeing our account payable in two different currencies. You can see your account payable in pounds. Then if you want to settle this, you have to settle this from the Bank of England accounts. And then if you're making part payments, probably you want to pay like 15,000 USD. Now you can only settle a pound payable or payable figure in pounds from a pounds account. You can't settle from a naira account. So you can as well click here. So you're paying 15,000 out of 31,200. You have a balance of 16,350. And then you can click on pay selected bills. So that will reduce your payable account. So that way you're able to track your inflows, your inventory receipt. Now this inventory might be the books, it can be uniform, can be any school materials at all. So but to follow the process that I just demonstrated, it's easier for you to be able to record all material purchases. Then we have the next one, which is your school business expense right here. Now, every school incur an expense, whether it's payment of salaries, payment for repair and maintenance, payment for purchase of school materials or whatever. Now, what you need to do is to learn how to differentiate or make sure you differentiate expenses that have been incurred with no immediate payment. These ones are credit expenses, and then we have cash expenses. These one are expenses that have been settled at the point where the services was rendered. So if it's a credit expenses, you're going to use enter bill. So bill is used to record expenses that are due, while write check is used to record expenses with immediate payment. You can see that under write check, we have the room to select our bank account, but under bill, there is no room to select your bank account. That means if you incur an expenses with intention of paying back at a later date or maybe in 1 month or 2 months time, you're going to post them as enter bill, and at the point of settling them, you will use pay bill. But if it's an expenses that you're making immediate payment for, you're going to use write check to settle that. So that's how to treat business expenses. So when you're writing the check, you can select the different expense head just like you have right here, and you can add more expense head. It could be repair and maintenance, travel expenses, office supply, insurance, computer, whatever expenses you incur, you select them, and then make sure you select the name of the vendor right here. And then let's say um, we have a vendor, auto repair limited. So these guys, they repair school buses. So under the accounts, this will come on repair and maintenance 1,200. So under the memo, you can say being repair of school buses. And then does it belong to a class? You can leave it if it doesn't belong to a class. Now you can also actually create a class called admin departments. So this admin department is what oversees every other department. And then you can click save and close. When you do that, with all that we've posted so far, it's easier for us to go check our reports. But before we look at it, let's look at every other thing that we need to. Now, adjusting for materials and also banking transactions. Now, in case where your school materials are missing or some are damaged and you need to adjust your materials to reflect the exact quantity you have in store, you go to inventory activities and select adjust quantity on hand. Now, what this will do for you is that there are situations where if you generate a report on your inventory, you can see now the actual quantity in store might vary from what you have on the system. Let's say for business school management that states here that we have 590, the actual quantity we have in store is 585, maybe because five were missing or five were damaged. So you have to come to adjustment, then you map it to an adjustment account. So which is material usage or damaged items. The damaged item is going to be direct cost to you. And then what are we adjusting for? We're adjusting school business school management books. We had 590, but the new quantity is not 590 but 585. So we're going to enter as new quantity. The difference of five, which cost us 1,250, will be probably accounted for under damaged inventory or damaged item account. So on click save and close, go back to our inventory report. You will see now that school management, business management books has now reduced to 585. Sorry for this business management books. Let me quickly correct the spelling very well right here. So this will be business management books. Okay, so under your banking, you have your use register, which help you check your bank statement. We've discussed right check to pay for expenses at the point of at the point where the transaction was settled or took place, or where you incur the transaction, incur the expenses. And then we have make deposits. Make deposits where you can actually deposit money from maybe from one bank, maybe you received cash and you're taking the money to the bank. That's what you use as make deposits. Then we have a room to transfer fund. You can transfer money from one bank to another bank. So that's where we have transfer fund. You can move money from a foreign account to a local account, or a local account to a foreign account. Like right here, we have Bank on England 55. So let's assume we've initiated a foreign transfer from GPB into USD. So you can as well come to transfer currency and say we have transferred 10 million pounds into our USD account. You can then click on save and close. Now, the application is that money will automatically be moved from your bank account, which is the pounds account, like you have right here. You can see right here into our USD account. So use register Bank of America. You can see right here, which is deposit of this amount. So that's pretty much majority of the things you need to know about school. And then with all the we've done so far, you can generate profit and loss. You can even see profit and loss by class. You can see here, you're able to see the profit and loss position of each of the department. Like here, everything we are posting executive program. You're able to see all the income from executive programs, and also all the direct costs, expense, and also the net profit of executive program. You can also see that of your MBA, your PhD, or any other programs that you run. Then you can also categorize, even for the admin departments, you're able to see that. Then other kind of reports you can generate, we discuss receivable reports, which shows you list of the customers or the student that owe you. Under receivable, there are different kind of reports. We have your payable reports, and then we also have your um, we have profit and loss by class. We have a balance sheet by class too. You can see here, you can see the balance sheet of each of these programs that you run, Department of Business Admin, Executive Program, MBA, and all. And then you can also generate a balance sheet for the company or for the business school as a whole, which is this, just like you have right here. Again, you also have your statement of cash flow for the school. All these reports are automatically generated for you. That's the beauty of an accounting software. You don't have to bother your head around trying to prepare this report. As you're posting all your transactions from the front end, your reports are built real time from the back end. So I hope you understand this and you're able to get one or two things on how to configure QuickBooks for your school. But in case you have challenges, or you run a school and looking for a guide on how to configure this accounting software for your school, you can as well use the link in our description below to connect to our website, which is accountingsoftware.com.ng or quickbooksnigeria.com. And then from our website, you can find our contact and be able to reach out to us for more guide on how to help you set up your QuickBooks for your school. And if it is the first time you're watching this video, kindly hit the subscription button and turn on the notification bell if you're interested in learning how QuickBooks work for different